This podcast is for a mature audience and may be viewed as inappropriate or insensitive to some. Listener discretion is advised. The intention is to share conversation of like and unlike-minded individuals as they try to be the best them they can be in a life full of challenges, searching for love, acceptance, and positivity. Call 669-241-1422 and share yourself or catch up with Sweet Baby J for an anonymous face-to-face interview. Feel free to call in with questions, stories, thoughts, or anything you would love to talk about and share. Nothing is off the table when talking sweet with Sweet Baby J at 669-241-1422.
Ladies and gents and ladies, once again, you are here talking sweet with Sweet Baby J. As always, a no-face, no-case scenario, player's choice. We have this beautiful young lady that I've come across in my days. How you doing, young lady?
I'm good. How are you?
You know, it's always a great day to be me. Extra dark, super handsome, holla.
Must be nice.
Hey, there you go. Got to offer you this opportunity. Would you like to share your identity or would you like to stay anonymous?
I'm fine with sharing my identity. It's okay.
Okay, well, what's your name?
My name is Latasha. Y'all can call me Tasha.
Hey, Latasha, how's everything on this beautiful day?
You can call me Tasha.
Okay, Tasha.
See, we friendly.
Oh, you know, and I like to start it like that. So,
nah, every day's a good day because we woke up, man. I'm good.
So what do you do for work? What is your life looking like on a daily?
I am an attorney, and on the daily, my life looks hectic. I have my own practice. I also have my own business consultation company. I got a podcast. My life just looks hectic every day. That's what it looks like.
Oh, wow. That's dope. What kind of attorney are you? Or what do you practice?
I am a business and tax attorney predominantly. I dabble in some other stuff, but that's where most of my work is at.
Oh, wow. And what is your podcast?
Black Girl SOS. It's on every platform. Check it out.
That's what's Gucci. So what do you guys talk about on Black Girl SOS?
We talk about all things Black women. It is a space for us to unlearn the things that no longer served us or never served us. And it's a space for us to hold ourselves accountable, to show up for ourselves the way we show up for everybody else.
You ain't lying. Truth be told, I met this young lady and we had a lot of fun.
We had a blast.
At Orlando Carnival. You actually put faith back in Orlando with the way you was carrying on. And then I find out that you're an attorney. And I'm like, wait a minute, wow. This is not how one would think an attorney would be out here getting it on.
Oh, we had a good time. Don't sleep.
Oh, yeah. So how do you manage these different arms of your life?
Barely. with a lot of Post-its and a lot of alarms and a lot of reminders, 2 whiteboards. I mean, it's hectic, but
you got to do it.
That's the life I chose. So I don't complain about it. I chose this life.
What made you ever want to become an attorney?
You know, I want to be an attorney like my whole life. I am 3,000% confident that it was half Claire Huxtable and half Blair Underwood on LA Law. I was convinced I would become Claire, and that if I didn't find my doctor husband, then I would find my Blair Underwood husband at a law firm.
I'm glad something good came out of the Cosbys. That's good to know.
You and me both. You and me both. You and me both.
Have you found your husband yet, the Blair husband?
Nah, we ain't nailed that.
Oh, man, what's going on? You're a successful woman, beautiful. I love to have fun. Is there a difficulty or something that you don't want? What's going on with that?
It's because I'm a successful woman, I'm beautiful, and I like to have fun.
Oh.
All of my assets are why I don't have a husband.
Really? So is it because you don't want, or is it that guys are trying to lock it down?
Oh, no. They're just stupid, insecure. Motherfuckers are insecure, immature, have a lot of growing on their own to do, and I don't have the space for it. I've done a lot of work on myself, so you are somebody that still needs to do the work. I'm not for you. I'm well past the shooting in the gym with you age. I'm not that girl. I'm not that girl anymore. Like, we're well past that for me. So I just have a low tolerance for people who just haven't bothered to become their best self or not even make it an attempt.
I hear a lot of Kevin Samuels has his whole show about women looking for.
Please.
Yeah,
please.
exactly.
Exactly.
But the thing is that I don't think many people put accountability on themselves.
Agree.
And what is it that you are really looking for? But you've been working on yourself.
Correct. Or rather, I was able to identify from a previous serious relationship and just my engagements with my close friends, areas of myself that I needed to work on that I did not want to bring into my next long-term relationship. So I took some time away from dating and invested time into working on myself, working on how I communicate, working on how, and not just like orally communicate, but also how I receive people communicating with me. Everything is not personal. Everything is not an attack. And you got to work on that. You don't just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I'm just this excellent communicator and I get it. And I see where I have been part of the problem and what I need to work on. No, that's a process. Absolutely. And I took the time to do that, and I continue to do it. But people that don't do it, I don't have the time, the tolerance, or the patience for it.
I feel you.
And there is a lot more of that than you think walking around, especially in the single market.
Listen,
and Sam ain't helping them. Whatever buddy name is, he's not helping them because he's gassing a lot of C level to think they A level, and they not. And then they run into me, and I hurt your feelings.
There is so much mental health that people really need to really address before they even try to enter into a solidified relationship. And I don't think that a lot of people are doing that.
I agree 1,000%.
And working on yourself. It's great that you take that time to work on yourself. And I see you all on the gram. You out here living the Gucci life.
Nah, I be chilling. I'm staying out the way. I keep my head down. I stay out the way.
Well, you sure do how to keep it. You keeping your head down, but you throwing your back while you're in it. You know, I like it.
Well, I'm not going to miss a fact.
I'm mad at you. Where are you from? What's your nationality, or where are your parents from?
We're all American. I was born and raised here. Now, our slave ship made a few pit stops along the way, but I'm absolutely American. But our pit stops were in Honduras. I learned very recently that I have great-great-great-grandparents from Cuba, and I have some family that is from the Bahamas. But it's hard to put our family tree together because, like I said,
it's not as documented as others.
Yeah, exactly. We were scooped up, dropped off, picked up, scooped up, all the things. A lot of Amazon Prime with our family.
The reason why I ask about your nationality is because you are American, but yet you said it. You don't miss a fet. You out here.
Oh, not at all.
You out here throwing it with the best of them.
The West Indian is in the blood. You can only water us down but so much. You could snatch us, but you can't change our DNA. It's in there somewhere.
Well,
woven.
You prove it. You prove it. Do you ever share your Instagram or your social media with coworkers or people that you know, or let's say colleagues?
I have a professional Instagram, and I share that with them.
Oh.
Now I have a couple of good girlfriends that I met from working, and we have each other's personal Instagram because we have also our personal relationship outside of work. Like we brunch, we hang out, like we're real friends. But for the most part, they get the professional page. Keep it light.
I feel you on that. Wow, that's so dope, because a lot of people really don't share any social media, but you have your personal and your private. Because I don't know how I'd be like, yo, so my attorney is out here in Miami throwing it back like that.
One of my most favorite accounts to follow on Instagram, we have mutual friends. We don't know each other personally, but we have a lot of mutual friends back home in New York. She's also an attorney. This girl goes to more fets than me. I assure you, she'd be on the cover of like all type of West Indian magazines and things. She's always frontline. Gorgeous girl, super smart, great criminal attorney. We're people too. We get to have lives.
Exactly. And that's my point. Just because you love to enjoy yourself in your personal life, that doesn't mean that it has any conflict with your professional life.
I say, look at it this way. If you know that I have the endurance for FET, imagine what I would do for your kids.
Oh, my. That's one way to put it.
You know?
That is one way to put it. Listen, I do what I do at night. I still wake up in the morning and get the job done.
That's right. That's right. With the same vigor.
Wow. Let's go back to the relationship part. What in your last relationship did you figure out for yourself that you need to make or not deal with for the next positive relationship that you want to have?
So I realized, one, at least for my accountability portion, that I cannot make it anyone else's responsibility for me to be happy. That's not anybody else's job. That's my job. And that, even though I would say, like in a tertiary kind of subconscious kind of way, I've always known that, I would absolutely say in one of my last previous relationships, at least the more serious ones, I definitely put more onus on my boyfriend at the time, like making it part of his responsibility to ensure my happiness. And that's not his job. That's my job. So I took that from that relationship. And as far as things not to tolerate, I would say in that exact same relationship, I chose a different approach than I had chosen with any of my other previous relationships. I chose to be much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Much more flexible than I normally would be. Things that I would not normally allow to slide, I try to show a little more grace. And I know that I wouldn't do that again. I wouldn't, because nothing good comes from it. There's a reason why we all have our individual boundaries. It's part of the way we take care of ourselves, and allowing people to continuously breach our boundaries. We kind of invite them, like we set the bar for how people treat us. So if I keep letting you breach my boundaries, you're going to keep doing it. You think it's okay. And I've sanctioned the behavior. I'm not going to be that graceful again, if you will.
Wouldn't you say that it's a case by case? You may have someone that may require a little more grace, but they're deserving of it, as you may require more grace in a relationship?
Like I said, I think it depends on the boundary and what it is. I think that there's always the first grace. Everyone gets the first grace. Like, you did something that bothers me or breaches a boundary, and maybe you don't know that. So this is an opportunity for us to sit down and have a conversation about it, for me to express to you why this bothered me, for me to give you the opportunity to show me that you're not going to do it again. You're not going to get 10 chances to breach the same bound. I don't give a damn who you are. Nobody needs that much grace. And if you do, I'm just not the person for you. And that's fine too. I just might not be the woman for you.
Wow. You put so much out there. Gosh dang, I don't even know what to do. So you're juggling your career. Are you dating currently?
No. Well, yes and no.
You're accepting applications?
Oh, well, I'm always accepting applications. We're always accepting applications. But, like, I don't date anybody where I live at. I don't date anyone here. I kind of date a couple of people out of town. So that's why I said it's like, yes, no. I date them when I'm around them. I don't date them when I'm not around them.
How does that work? How do you date people out of town, or what's going on?
I mean, that works quite easy. That's why they make plane, trains, and automobiles.
Oh, you ain't lying. I've never been. I don't know. I've never been about that baller life. I don't know.
It's not even that. I've always been the long distance girl, so for me, it doesn't bother me. Like, my very first real relationship was long distance. So I guess I'm used to it, conditioned. I don't know, but for me, yeah, it's fine. Plus, I'm like one of those people that I need space. Like, I don't mind you around, but I really, like, I need a sufficient amount of space. So I don't know.
So how does that work? When, let's say, because you're used to this space and you like a long distance relationship seems to be your thing. How do you see that?
It's not that they're my thing. It's just that they work for me too. Like, I can navigate that too. Like, I've lived with a boyfriend before. We lived together for years. That was fine for me. But also, we cannot live in the same city. That's not a deal breaker for me. Like, if we want to be together, we can sort this out and fix. We can make this work. That's not a deal breaker.
I ain't mad at it. I'm not mad at it. That's pretty dope. I've always said that I could never have a long distance relationship because I just always felt that when whoever I'm with is not there, I'm just going to be in another relationship.
I'm not like that. I'm not like that. So when I'm single, I'm single. I'm living a life. But when I'm in a relationship, I'm all the way in. So for me, if we're together and we're in an exclusive relationship, and let's say we live together right now, and then you got this great job at Nike and you had to move to Beaverton, I'm not going to break up with you because you got an amazing opportunity. I'm also not going to stifle that opportunity. I'm going to support you. I want to see you thrive. So whatever we got to do to sort out how we get to see each other, we'll work that out. But I'm also going to support your professional endeavors too. I want you to win.
Damn, that's dope. I didn't think about that part of it. So yes, if it was a situation like that, then yes, I would be all in. But it gets complicated sometimes.
It's definitely complicated, and it's not easy. It's just, but you could like have your mate under your roof, and it's not easy. So that's just relationships.
Who you telling?
Exactly. Relationships are relationships. If you want them to work, you'll put in the work. If you think it's going to work on its own, you think going to put that shit on autopilot and it's going to work, you're going to be sadly mistaken, and you're going to have a lot of hurt-ass feelings.
Oh, MFG. You ain't lying. So when it comes to maneuvering with dating here and there, you have your podcast and your professional career. I, for myself, being a podcaster, it does consume a lot of time.
Yes, Lord.
It really, really does. So how do you do that, or how do you come across your guests, and or is it only females, or do you also interview with men, or do you have men on your show?
So one, it's only females. Two, it is very hard to keep up with everything. My podcast is actually on a hiatus as we speak. I'm bringing it back at the top of 2022, just because I had just way too much work and stuff going on that I needed to tend to. But it is very time consuming. My podcast guests are always women that I either know from my life or that I met through like an acquaintance that I met through friends. And because we talk about the gambit of everything, and my social network is so big, I have so many resources to pull from. Like I did an episode on just like women in leadership, and I had one of my good girlfriends that I consider a big sister. She is a retail district manager. I had her on, and I had her on as a guest alongside someone who is a VP at a financial company. So they're in two different sectors, but they're both leaders. So they were able to like have common ground, but also give us like some nuances to the different industries. So stuff like that. I had like a girlfriend that I met through another friend. She actually came to me as a potential client, and she happens to have a differently needs child, and I had her on, and she was telling us all this stuff that I obviously would have never known because I'm not a parent, but it was such a good resource, and so many people reached out to me and reached out to her after the episode. So I just utilized the people in my life. Honestly, 9 times out of 10, everything we need is within that 6 degrees of separation. We just got to be willing to ask for the help and ask people to, if they want to participate. Because that's all I did. I just asked people if they would be down to share their stories, and they were like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, you know what? When I was growing up, I say was, I'm always growing up.
But always growing up.
Exactly, I'm always growing up. But I always would snatch, if I'm someplace and there's magazines, I would always read women's magazines, Cosmopolitan, whatever. Now, I know that it's geared towards women, but who wouldn't want that insight? You just gained a listener, so I will be listening.
Please tune in. I know a bunch of guys listen.
Yeah,
a bunch of guys listen. Honestly, it's a great podcast across like however you identify with your gender. I am a Black woman. I started it for Black women, but I assure you, anybody walking the planet can get something of substance from the podcast. I had somebody like force me to run back my life insurance podcast because a bunch of grown people running around with no life insurance, just out here willy-nilly. Half of them are parents. I'm like, what happens if your kid, like if you die and like what's going to happen with your kid? Like I remember when I was young and the neighbors would knock on the door to like get money up when somebody died, and my mom was like adamant about the fact that was never going to be us. She was like, if something happens to me, you will be able to bury me and mourn the way you need to. You're not going to need to be begging on the neighbor's doors. Our insurance guy used to come to the house. I'm a woman of a certain age. So this is when the insurance man used to knock on your door and come with his little coupon book.
Oh,
so I knew the insurance man by name. He knew my whole family. He would come once a month to get the premiums. And, my mom taught me all of this stuff when I was a kid. And the amount of adults right now drifting Gucci that don't have their set for their kids, enormous. And I don't say that to slander anybody, but you don't know what you don't know. Well, right? So I do know, so I'm sharing.
It is very much the case. And I was actually just having this conversation with someone. The fact that there are so many people driving around in luxury vehicles or motorcycles or what they're wearing on their back, but yet don't have those longevity things or investing in stocks or things like that. I think these things are of way more importance because you're not trying to prove something to someone else, but you're proving that you're being an adult and taking care of yourself and those that you love.
Absolutely. But in all honesty, people really don't know what they don't know. Like I recently had a conversation with a very successful attorney friend of mine. He's very successful. And when we were talking, many of the things that should already be in place, he's like, sis, I'm not even gonna hold you. I don't even know how to get half of that shit even started. And I was like, say less. We're gonna take a day. I'm gonna pull up when I got some time. I'm just gonna take the day and I'm gonna come to you and we're gonna sit down and we're gonna get all your shit sorted. And it's just because his parents didn't know, his parents didn't have, so he didn't know. Like it's not like they teaching that shit in school. They're not teaching get life insurance anywhere. Wow. That's just some shit that gets passed down from someone else who knew better. So he don't know, I know, so I'm going to look out for him and make sure that he knows. And then as his child grows, I'm going to make sure that she knows because I consider her my niece. Well, and that's what we got to do. Like, and that's kind of the point of the podcast. The podcast, at the end of the day, is supposed to be annals of information that people can come back to if they need the information.
That is the dopeness behind that is on so many different levels. One, the fact that you're sharing with someone that is considered successful, that I'm very sure a lot of people look up to him like, wow, and look up to him for advice. But at the same time, he's still someone that is not savvy with other parts of life. And the fact that you, being another successful person, is willing and able to share that knowledge is, I feel that's the only way that we all can grow as a society, especially a Black society.
1,000%. I agree with you 1,000%.
Wow.
1,000%. I think the largest, or at least for me, where I was most impressed with was and it could just be because of the nature of our relationship, because we have like a kinship kind of relationship, is the fact that he's a successful man that didn't hesitate to say, oh, no, sis, I don't know. If you can help me, please help me. Because that's not always the case.
So you find much value in someone saying, I don't know.
Yeah, if I don't know, I'll tell you up front. Listen, if I don't know, if you ask me a question, I'm going to tell you, I don't know. If you know where I can get the information, please, by all means, point me in the right direction. But fronting like you know something you don't know, I don't know. I find that to be immature.
No.
Because I don't see how that helps.
Immature is a great way to state it, because if you act like you know, but you don't know, how do you really grow?
Exactly. Because at the end of this conversation, I'm still not going to know, when I probably could have learned something had I just said, oh, no, I don't know that. Do you? Can you share? Are you willing to help?
And knowledge is one of the most priceless things that you can ever share with someone. It can cost you nothing, but cost them a lot.
Absolutely.
Or save them a lot.
Absolutely.
Money saved is money earned.
I'm about to say, either way. Either way.
Yeah. It's dope. And I really appreciate the fact that how you and I are even having this conversation. How did we even meet in the first place? I'm a little lost right now. Oh, it was a chat.
That chat. Yeah. What was that? Like the Caribbean chat thing. And everybody was going to the carnival.
And they was acting real funky.
They was being stush.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
But they were very young. So that's why I didn't even engage, and I just remember we both removed ourselves from the chat. Like, all right, let's go. They were a very young crowd, so I feel like their stushness is more just in them really not being confident in who they are, so they feel like they still need to put on or postulate to make themselves look like I'm polished or whatever. Sis, if you polish, you gonna shine regardless. You ain't got to put on for nobody ever.
You ain't lying. Do you come across that a lot when you're at a fet or in your professional career, that people feel they need to posturize themselves? I said posturize. Is that even a word? But to show their posture, to act like they're better?
In my career, yes. At fets, no. I try to stick to like fets. So we all know why we here. Mm-hmm. We know why we came. We came to get on bad. You know what I'm saying? Get a wine, don't stick, keep it moving, and all the things. So at a fet, no, I rarely find that to be the case. But for work, absolutely. Look at the profession I chose. I chose a profession that is predominantly old, white, and male. I chose a specialization, tax, that is even more white, male, and Jewish. So people, especially people that don't fit in that demographic, they go out of their way to try to postulate and make themselves look like they're like the model minority so that they will be accepted. And I'm like, bruh, let your work speak. Like, I'm not peacocking for any of them. If they want this work, they want this work and these motions, let's do it. But I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not altering my personality. Now, obviously, like everybody else, I don't take my party self to work. Obviously, there's you know what I'm saying? You turn that dish down from 10 to 5 when you go to work. Yeah, but I am authentically myself all the time. I'm not trying to make you think that I'm better. I know how damn good I am in my work. And you'll find out when you're on the opposite side of me.
Oh, okay. Get it, girl. Get it, girl. I like that. Not only do I like it, I respect that. I also saw the fact that there's these TikTok or these dances things where someone is like they have no makeup or whatever, and then they do something and then they pop up and then it's like they're in their professional setting. I saw you on one.
Oh, yeah, we did the Don't Rush Challenge.
Yes, the Don't Rush. I was like, wait a minute, look at her.
Yes, me and a couple of my lawyer girlfriends did the Don't Rush Challenge.
Wow, that's so dope. The fact that you are unapologetically beautiful and intelligent and just, it is what it is. You better get some of this good juice.
That's it. That's it. The good Lord is trying to bless y'all.
Yeah. Don't hate.
Don't stifle the blessing.
Don't hate.
Stifle the blessing.
Yeah. Let it sit on your palate. Don't hate.
I'm gonna steal that. Let it sit on your palate.
Don't hate. It's tasty. It is very tasty. Get some.
That's what he said.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. You are too much. Wow. It's really dope. So what's the name of your podcast again?
Black Girl SOS, girl with the Y, not with an I.
Oh, so go ahead. Black Girl with a Y, GYRL.
Yep.
Oh, Black Girl SOS. I like it. And I like what the platform that you're putting out there. Because
appreciate that.
Well, I also got to ask, do you have any way that you actually, the same way that you said, people don't know, how do you try to challenge people to be better than they are, whether it be someone younger, someone older, because different generations are not able to really understand certain things. So do you ever try to bring those generational gaps, close them?
So I don't know if I make intentional effort to bridge any generational gaps, and that's not accidental. That's completely intentional. It's intentional because one, my grandmother's on Instagram, so I know everybody got access to the things, right? I know this because my favorite demographic on TikTok are the grannies of TikTok. It is literally my favorite thing on TikTok to watch. So I know that the boomers and older, that they are utilizing the social media tools also, right? I know this for a fact. But the reason why I say there is no specific intention in it, it's because we have the exact same worries our grandmothers had. The exact same worries. The fact that, and the guy that I used to live with, I used to tell him this all the time when he would feel like I'm like kind of overreacting. I was like, you are acting like you don't get it. When you walk out of this house, I'm not confident that you're going to walk back in.
Wow. Because
that is the alarming rate at which they are killing black men without regard.
Wow.
So the fact that that is a conversation my grandmother used to have with us about my grandfather because they grew up in the Deep South during the times, I shouldn't be able to relate to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that should have been a story that was told to me that I am in awe of, and that just like, wow, I'm glad things are different. When in fact, I have the exact same story my grandmother has, my mother has the same story. We are still dealing with the exact same issues across, 4 or 5 generations right now. So that's why I don't try to specify like, oh, I'm targeting this set or that set, because we all can relate. We have the same damn issues. Women could get a bank account until the 70s. Bro, I was born in the 70s. We get the same fucking issues. That's why when people be like, oh, I miss the old school. You live in it. You live in it, I assure you.
Well,
you haven't left
it's
it.
funny.
It's a modified version of it, but you still live in it.
It's funny. So I was actually on one of my previous episodes, I was having the conversation with someone, and it was a psychotherapist, and she said she wished we can go back to the old days. I said, be careful, because that means different things for different people.
Right.
And some of us are still living in the old days, just as you said, where depending on where you live, but you got to be careful when you say things like that. Everyone's
I feel like when people say stuff like that, I feel like there's a subconscious. I'm leery of people that say that. Like, I don't care what your, how you identify with gender, and I don't care what your race or ethnicity is. When you say shit like that, I look at you sideways.
Why?
Because how could I not look at you sideways? Because I know what the old days looks like for my family line. So the fact that you thought that shit was lit.
Well, that's why I said to her. That's why I said, and she acknowledged it. She definitely did acknowledge it.
It says to me that the way you view the world is from your own seat. You have a micro view of the world, and I have a very macro view of the world. And so for me, yes, it causes pause, because I know that is somebody who, in my opinion, is going to have a lot of POVs from their seat and their seat alone. And that, that opens the door to people who haven't really addressed their ego, and not ego in like being conceited, but ego in self, and the fact that you think that everything that's going on in this world starts with you. It doesn't.
Yeah. So when we hear things like "Make America Great Again,"
exactly, that's a perfect example. I'm like, when was it great?
Well, we are.
When my family were slaves, when they were sharecroppers. When?
Well, we can always say "Make America Greater," because it's, even as us as individuals, it's a journey to make ourselves better than we were. And I think that's where we need to be also as a country. It's not that we have always had this positive past, but there are definitely things that could have been changed, definitely things that we need to educate ourselves on, and definitely things that we need to do better.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. And which is why I don't think that slogan was unintentional. I think it was very specific and very intentional. And
I agree.
That's very akin to individuals saying, "Oh, I wish things would go back to the way they were." Well, do you know that for most people, for most of the demographic of this country, things were not looking good. Like it was good for a very small percentage of the people, and you obviously fit in that demographic if you're okay with going back to that. You're fine with the majority having a situation as long as you're cool. And that ain't really my bag. I forgot what I was watching last night, but basically Buddy said, I hate individuals, but I love humanity. And that's how I feel sometimes. I'm like, oh, some of you motherfuckers are gonna really choke you. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna do whatever I can do to benefit the greater majority, even if it kills me. So here we are.
We all have that job, you know, even as our professional careers, in which often we are obligated to assist and help someone that we would never even come in contact with if it wasn't for work.
Listen, I had a white man tell me in Middle America that I could not help him. I was like, excuse me, sir, I'm literally the third highest person in this office. What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, no, you can't help me. I was like, you do realize you came in here looking for help. Like, I didn't come to you.
Why did he say that?
Because I'm a black woman. I was the only black woman in the office. It was when I worked in a tax clinic in Kansas City. He came in, I was working in the free tax clinic at that. So people who were low income or destitute who needed tax services, I worked in there. They can come and get free services. So he came in, he needed help with his taxes. I took him to, I don't think I took him to my office. I think I took him to like one of the classrooms or something. I was sitting down with him and I asked him to give me his documents. And he was just like, are you the secretary? And I was like, no, I'm not the secretary. You spoke to the secretary when you walked in. And he's like, well, you can't help me. And I was like, yeah, I can. I got a law degree. I've been doing taxes since a long time, sir. I can't help you. And he was like, no, someone else has to help me. Wow. And I was like, is there a reason? I was like, because I'm the most senior in this office of people that work directly with the clients. The only other two people that were there were our supervising attorneys, and they don't work directly with clients. And I was just like, is there a reason? Like, am I making you uncomfortable? Did I say something to offend you? And he was like, no, just you can't help me.
Wow.
I said, say less. I took him back. I told my supervising attorney, and he said, well, if you can't help him, then he cannot be helped. Tell him to have a good day.
Did it feel good having that support from your supervising attorney?
Absolutely, especially because my experience in Middle America was so terrible. It was so riddled with racism. Like, I had such a horrible experience living in Kansas City that I turned down my dream job. Like, that's how much I hated being there. So yes, it was awesome to have that kind of support. But they were really, really great supervising attorneys and mentors. Like, they were awesome. I learned so much from them. They were dope.
It's dope that you can actually say that about them. It's comforting to hear. And it's also really good when you have in your chain of command people that support you and understand your plight, your journey, understand the troubles that you have to go through.
Right. It's important. Like, that's what white allyship has to look like. That's why I always tell people, like, stop begging them to be your ally. Stop saying don't ever ask me to teach you how to be an ally. I will literally curse you out like Richard Pryor and Andrew Dice Clay rolled in a goddamn burrito. I will curse you out. You don't need to be taught how to be an ally. The word means friend. Either you know how to be a good friend or you do not.
Wow.
You know how you would stick up for your friend. You know how you would support your friend. You know how you would encourage your friend. You know how you would discourage someone from harming your friend. I don't need to teach you that. Your mom needed to teach you that. And if she's already dropped the ball, well, this is well beyond what I can do for you.
You literally had chills run through my body right now with saying that. I should not have to teach you how to be a friend. We all know what it feels like on how we want to feel. And that's how we treat our friends. We treat our friends the way that they would want to feel and the way that we want to feel. That's how we become friends. If humans in society really just interacted with one another in a way that they want to treat one as you want to be treated, we will all be so much better. And that goes across all boards, not even just friends.
No, that's
coworkers, everything.
Common decency decency. You don't have to be kikiing with everybody at the water cooler, but common decency never hurt anybody. It's not going to harm you to just be a decent human being.
Some people act like it does. I don't get it. But...
Well, I mean, depending on where you live at, it might. You know, I'm from New York. Some shit ain't received well up north.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
We a rough bunch up north. But to your point, we would be less of a rough bunch if everybody just treated each other the way they wanted to be treated.
Yeah, it's the truth. Listen, man, if there's anything that I'm getting from this conversation is treat people the way you want to be treated, not just in a political, not just in a work environment, but even in relationships. And it's a constant work in progress. We're still always learning about ourselves. And sometimes some of the things that we would have accepted in the past, we no longer should accept. Some of the things that we want for ourselves, guess what? You know what? I can do better than that. Step it up.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
it's a real thing. People, I don't know if people are not able to accept that as a person you're ever evolving. It's probably because everyone gets it drilled into them when they're very young. Like, oh, you know, you need to be an adult by the time you're this age. Like, you need to have accomplished these tasks. And none of those, like, checklist adulthood things account for you evolving as an adult. None of them.
As a person.
Yeah. If somebody tells you at 13, oh, you should be married by 25, you should have a house by 30, you should be getting ready to retire by 50, whatever. Like, none of that accounts for all of the other things that are going to happen to you in life that are going to change and shift who you are, what your priorities are, your economic station in life, your health. These checklists are stationary, they're static, but people are dynamic. We're ever changing. And things get so ingrained in you because every holiday somebody's asking you something about the checklist.
You ain't got no kids yet? You ain't married yet?
Every time you see somebody at the cookout, they ask you about something off the checklist. Every time you run into somebody you ain't seen in a while at a reunion or the grocery store, they ask you something off the checklist, and you start reverting back to thinking that the checklist is like a must do, and it's not.
Yeah,
it's okay, like if this works out, sure, but I don't know. Like, 18-year-old Tasha is definitely not 41-year-old Tasha by any stretch of the imagination. The things that I wanted for myself at 18 are not the same things that I want for myself at 41. And if I had been too scared to evolve as a person, I can't imagine the amazing experiences in life I would have missed out on because I'm so busy trying to make sure I hit the checklist at the right time. Man, get this shot here.
Very true. So on top of that, in saying that people are given these checklists, people are told you have to, I think generations have changed in which people was always, the game plan was go to college, get a good career. Now we have people that are doing alternate routes to be successful. And then on top of that, just as you said, you should be married by 25 or married in your 20s. Well, what that doesn't also tell you is that you could be divorced in your early 30s as well.
Hello.
Because it didn't work out because you were so stuck on getting this milestone that you didn't take into consideration who you were achieving this milestone with.
That's real.
So true.
That shit is very real.
It's so true.
That shit is very real. You start getting into all this, I'm married early and I'm with this person, and you're with somebody who maybe they are who they are already. That's possible. Maybe who they are at 25 is exactly who they're going to be the rest of their life.
And it ain't for you.
But maybe you're not. But maybe you're not. And as you start to grow and this person doesn't grow with you and you guys don't grow together, then, hey, that ain't no fun shit. I've seen it up close. It's not cute.
You'll be splitting it up with an attorney. Hey, Tasha, you know a good divorce attorney?
I was about to say, holla at me. I know somebody.
So what made you decide to go into taxes rather than divorce or, I don't know, maybe something, I don't know, more lucrative? I don't even know how lucrative taxes are, but I don't know. What made you choose that?
Super lucrative if you're a white man. Like, if you're a white man at a big firm, tax is super, literally, it is probably one of the more lucrative practices in the industry.
Wow.
Without question. Tax attorneys, my white male counterparts at big firms make an obscene amount of money. It is borderline illegal how much money they bring in.
Really?
That being said, I would never go into family law. Family law is dangerous. It is the most emotional law there is. It's super personal. When you go to criminal court, you know who the criminal is. They're sitting at the defendant's table. When you walk into family court, you have no idea who's going to fucking lose it. Everybody's emotions are high. Everything is personal. Nah, I'm good. That this is not for me. How I ended up in taxes is that when I was in high school, so I went to a high school that was geared for business careers, and I was in the legal studies program, and I had to take an elective. I took an intro to income tax class and fell in love and been here ever since. So I've been doing taxes since like the 10th grade.
There you go. Get it. So it is said that lawyers translate to liars. Would you agree with that?
Yes, a lot of these motions are too lies.
I see these cases that take place on TV. We all know about things in the news, and lawyers have to defend people that everyone in the world knows are guilty. How does one do that? We have to do
our job. I'm not a criminal attorney on purpose because, baby, I cannot do that. I will say this, though. We all take an oath, and our clients are entitled to zealous representation. I always talk ish about lawyers being liars as well. But in reality, honestly, most of us aren't liars. We are very skilled at saying only what needs to be said. The average person will throw up on you with more than you ask for. Like if you ask somebody, oh, you know, is the store on the corner? They'll be like, oh, yeah, you know, if you make a left and you go this way, the store's going to be right there. You're going to pass this. I didn't ask you all that. All I asked you was, is the store in the corner? That was a yes or no question. You gave me way more than I asked for. And lawyers stick to the call of the question. We curate our conversation to make sure that we are not saying more than we need to say, we're not divulging more than we need to divulge, and that we are making sure that the narrative is going to skew in our favor without having to say anything that's outright a lie. But I know that because I'm also a regular person, I know that that also comes across like lying.
I was going to ask you, does this maneuver in your personal life as well? Like, did you see me at a club? Yes. Nothing else to say, huh?
Correct. I answered your question.
Were you sitting on someone else's lap? I'm going to plead the fifth. Whose lap? I was sitting on my girlfriend's lap. Wow. That is actually wild because you see these attorneys in there defending people, and it's like, holy cow. How does one sleep at night? You'd be surprised
how many attorneys defend people that they would rather strangle. See, especially when it's like the PD. Private criminal attorneys, honestly, they sleep on really good sheets and fabulous pillows because private criminal attorneys get paid very, very well to defend the people that nobody else will defend. They get paid exceptionally well to do that job. So they sleep on satin sheets and they sleep well.
Dope.
They sleep in comfort.
Okay. So when they're starting up their $150,000 car, it's like, you know, I love what I do for work.
Right. Exactly. They're like, that should have got killed, but
vroom, vroom.
Right. Good job, me. And we out.
So one of my previous episodes I did with a gentleman that did 8.5 years in jail. And I'm not sure of the perfect terminology, but what he said was, I think the public defenders or one attorney's job is to make sure that the other person is seen as guilty, whether they're guilty or not. And the other person is to, I don't even remember how it goes, but that a lawyer, real job if against that defendant is to make sure that they are looking guilty, even if they know they didn't do it.
A prosecutor's job.
Prosecutor's job, yes.
I don't practice criminal law, and I've never been neither a prosecutor nor a defense attorney. So I won't speak to what the core of their job is as far as, you know, what a defendant might think. What I do know is if you are the state prosecutor or obviously assistant state prosecutor, because that's really who goes to trial, your job is to prove the state's case. If you commit a crime or you are accused of committing a crime, and let's say the crime is, I don't know, murder, and they add some other charges, I don't know, weapons possession, whatever. If that's what the state is accusing you of, it's their job to prove their case. If they are saying that you were in possession of a gun, it is their job to prove that you were in possession of a gun. If they are saying that you are the reason that this body is dead, it is their job to prove that you are the person that did it. Now, a good prosecutor, anybody worth their salt, if they know you're innocent, they're not going to prosecute you. If they have enough valid reason to say like there's enough reasonable doubt. It's a toss-up. It could go either way. They may or they may not prosecute. I know some that really would rather not. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what their state attorney says. And that just is what it is. You don't work for yourself when you work in the state attorney's office. You work for the state attorney. And if they say that case has to be prosecuted, well, now your ass got to go in there and do your job and prove the state's case. Doesn't matter if you agree agree with the prosecution or not. If the state attorney says that this is a case we can make, you go in there and you do your job. Wow. Now, we all know that that does not always end well, especially since the system is set up the way the system is set up, which is not for us. But to the point of what the job is, that is the job.
Ahmaud Arbery, I believe that's his name. There was a young lady that I guess she was an attorney general. I'm not sure what her role was, in which one of the gentlemen that shot him reached out to her. And
she's a DA.
Yes.
She's a district attorney.
And she said, do not arrest him, pretty much, right? Or don't press charges or whatever the case may be. In a case like that, what can happen to someone that does something like that?
Well, she's been arrested, if I'm not mistaken, and I know she's getting her license snatched. I know she lost her job. If I'm not mistaken, she's already been charged. So you can't obstruct justice either. Like, we're not above the law either. So
Giuliani might get something too, huh?
Everybody coming out that Trump camp getting something. Let me tell you something about the good sis Letitia, the attorney general in the great state of New York. My home state. She on their ass. She been on their ass.
Nah, I could tell, man.
And ain't letting up.
A pit bull.
She's not letting up.
A pit bull is not going to bite like she wants to bite.
and we love her for it.
Everybody is within reach of the law. As should
That's
be.
a fact. And should be. No, none of us should be above it.
Well, young lady, very interesting conversation. We touched on so many different topics. I'm going to have to say I appreciate you for all your beauty, the intellect.
Thank you, baby.
And conversation. And the fet style. So, all of it as well.
We're overdue.
We are well
next
overdue. Hey, the post-COVID, But, so listen,
COVID for sure.
You ain't lying. I really need you to share the name and spelling of your podcast once again, because I really want people to get out there and get to it.
So it is Black Girl SOS, girl with the Y, not with an I. It is available on all platforms. You can follow on Instagram and you can follow on Clubhouse.
Wow. Well, young lady, you stay great. Stay beautiful.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's about it.